Can you talk a little bit more about the pictures of your mother that you took and the words that you had written to go with those?
I've been dealing with death and dying for quite some time. And it's an experience that I can't get used to. It's not something that you can get used to. Sometimes you get closer to some people than others. But there was something about it with my mother when I got out there in her last 2 weeks. It was different. I wasn't the chaplain now, I was the son. And the way it was like I've seen this before, but then I hadn't, because it was my mother. It wasn't somebody else's mother. This one I couldn't walk away from. I couldn't just have my hour and then walk away from it and leave the family there. I was there with my sister, and in a lot of ways, maybe the camera was what I used my cell phone, because I just felt that my SLR would have been just way over the top. But I wanted to do something. I just felt strongly I wanted to do something, and there was a process, part of my grief process and my walking through this, because it affected me a lot more than I thought it would. It wasn't that my mother and I always had this really close relationship. It was an in and out one for years and years and years. But the last few years, at her birthdays and all this, because she was out in Washington State, so I took the cell phone and I would hold it, and she would just look at me, never say anything. I'm not even sure how much she was aware of it. And if she was, then it didn't bother her. But I'd take the pictures, and it wasn't until, gosh, weeks and weeks afterwards that I even took them and got them put on a CD and looked at them. And the process of my grief and my walk over this last year was a kind of, it wasn't what I thought it would be. I intentionally thought this would be something to do for people to experience a person's passing without being too far from. We have a tendency, I believe, and I know I do it in myself, to not relate to death, my own. I have a will I wrote years and years ago, but I don't have the 5 wishes. I don't have any of all that stuff. I've never done it. And at my age, I probably should have all this stuff, but I haven't done it. I'm just like anybody else, even though I work with this all the time. It's just like you have to have this deniability that it's not real. And to me, these pictures will make, this exhibit, these pictures will make it real. They're small, so that you have to be up close to look at them. And then to share the experience with the words, I just knew I wanted to write something. And I ended up writing a eulogy, and I knew I had 19 pictures, so I picked out what I thought were the ones that described best what we went through, she and I at that time, and chose 19 sentences and then hand wrote them. I was so worried about whether the handwriting would look nice. And after I did it, it didn't matter whether it looked nice or not. There was a personal quality to it that was important. And I'm still processing it. The other day I sat down and listened to jazz music because my mother loved jazz, and choosing the music that would play for it. It's funny, one amazing experience I had with her at that time of her dying was we put on Rod Stewart's old standards, which I had sent her years ago. And the songs come on, and she's laying there, and I mean, she's out of it. She's laying there, and all of a sudden her hand just comes up and starts doing this to the music. And so I went and I took her hand, and I danced with her. I danced around the bed, holding her hand. And so now when I hear that song, it gives me pause. So music was real important.
For those who are interested in seeing the gallery show, where can they go to find it?
It's going to be at the Lead Studio and Gallery in Wake Forest. The show opens the 11th of May this year, and the opening reception is the 13th, which is their second Friday they do in Wake Forest, and it runs through June 4th. So it'll be up there pretty much Wednesday through Saturdays from 11 till 6 in the evening, except for that opening reception. I'll be there for the opening reception, and we also have a companion book that we publish of the show, which I'll be signing if anybody would like.
Eric, thank you so much for being here today, and thank you for sharing your personal story, and we really appreciate you being here. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. For subscription information, you can find us at artseemagazine.com.